Why Toyota may have the best strategy in the EV race if you believe everything you read on Yahoo or even anything you read on Yahoo. I'm Brian. Welcome to Futuraza. Wanted to say a quick thanks to newest patrons supporting the channel, Rich and Mike. Thank you both so much. These folks are the reason I'm able to do these things. The referral code, I get some free supercharger miles. I use that to go to events and whatnot, travel as it were. And then, of course, Patreon, YouTube, and X.com, where you can offer financial support. All of it helps. Thank you so much. Let's talk about Yahoo and the silliness that is all things Yahoo. Toyota may have the best strategy in the EV race. My friends, if you have ever seen the Toyota BuzzForks, you know that they don't have a strategy. We'll get to that. Over the last 4 quarters, Tesla generated revenue and earnings of $96 billion and $15 billion, respectively. $15 billion is a lot of cash, guys. Toyota's revenue and earnings are 3 times larger. Right, but they make 5 times more cars? Something like that? Okay, so yet Tesla's market cap is more than double that of Toyota. Right, because Tesla's not just a core company. I mean, it's a lot of startups in one. I feel like we've discussed this, but okay. Tesla shares have soared since going public, while Toyota and other major auto manufacturers have meandered along. Right, because they're blue chips. They've reached their pinnacle. They are as high as they are going to get, and they have plateaued. Some of them have faltered since then. Are you going to invest in a company that's growing or one that is dying? So, okay. And for that matter, again, Tesla has so many businesses that if they were spun off into their own businesses, would be very popular. People would buy shares in just things like stationary storage or autonomy or bots or any of those things. Some of these things are already financially viable. The supercharger network is worth more than any of the other charging networks because it works and it's bigger than most. Certainly better in terms of total throughput. Tesla's shares are up nearly 12,000% since IPO. This figure is more stunning considering it's down 50% since 2021. Graph below, charting the stocks, Toyota and Tesla, you'll see extreme volatility as shown on the second graph. So we'll cover the second graph in a minute. This first graph is already plenty of chart crime because it's, oh, look at that. Right. One is volatile and one is a boring blue chip. Dipped a bit during the pandemic and has recovered a bit since then. It's back above where it was before. That's some good enthusiasm. But this is criminal. Yeah, see, here's Tesla's stock chart. And here is the volatility index. Boy, doesn't it look hugely volatile? It does. And the reason for it is the blue line is logarithmic, 1, 10, 100, 1000, where the orange line is only tracking negatives and only by the max drawdown and at a flat rate, not as a percentage, because if it was a percentage, it would just look like this. It would just look like that first line. Does this look like the first line? No, it looks quite different because it only goes back to 2010. It's an incomplete picture, a willfully incomplete picture. So Tesla shares have outperformed Toyotas and the market because of the significant growth of EVs. Yeah, that's right. That's correct. A robust outlook for EV market penetration and forecast that Tesla will maintain its lead role in manufacturing EVs. I mean, mostly true, but it requires all 3 coming to fruition. Does it? I mean, yeah, significant growth in EVs. We've already seen that and are continuing to see it, and all forecasts are saying it's still coming. A robust outlook for EV market penetration. That's the same thing as the first one, and that Tesla will maintain its lead. It doesn't have to stay in the lead. It has to just be a leader in EVs, which they are and have always been. What if one or more of these do not occur? Might hybrids be the preferred technology? Maybe, but why would you want to tether yourself to a transitional thing knowing it's going to be gone by 2035? Most of the major markets around the world where cars are actually sold, certainly premium cars, have phase outs for internal combustion on or before 2035. Parts of the US, all of Europe, most of Asia. Guys, Will EV competition from established and new auto manufacturers upend their market share? It is hoped. We thought this would happen a long time ago, but it hasn't. Maybe most critical, could Toyota, not Tesla, be at the forefront of a significant advance for automobiles? No. No, I'm just going to say it no. The answer is no, and we know because we've seen what they're working on, and it's not good. There's a lot of doubt that Tesla can reach 20 million sales by 2030. It's a tall order, but there is a 0% chance that Toyota can do it because Toyota has no plans to. They would have to start aggressive expansion today, and not just today, but a year ago, 2, 3, in order to make that happen, and they're not. Tesla has a better chance. They have a non-zero chance. And falling short of a goal as lofty as 20 million puts you in a pretty good spot. You could fall short of it by half and still beat Toyota's numbers. With a price to earnings ratio of, who cares? I don't compare price to earnings on a company that's only selling a product that we know is on its way out the door. I don't care what the price to earnings is if your product is dead. The latest data shows that EVs will account for 9% of all domestic new car sales in 2024. Yeah, maybe. But the US, I hasten to point out, is not the world. There is a larger world out there, you guys. And the US is not even the biggest car market. So if you're hoping that Toyota's going to be banging it out of the park by 2030, maybe they need some EVs in all their markets. If the US follows paths of other countries like Germany and China, in which EVs represent approximately a third of new car sales. Now, you see, in the US, we're battling FUD like nobody else. The fear, the uncertainty, the doubt, the FUD. It's a different battle here. There are a lot of very traditional people who do not understand that EVs have gotten cheaper and better, and they may just fit their use case. They'll figure it out. Every time someone gets a fresh butt in a seat, they get to learn how EVs actually work and if they're good for them. With the transition away from ICE coming, its pace appears to be moderating. There are a few drawbacks. They didn't even bother including a dishonest chart. If you look at the global numbers, it is not moderating. It is still going a gang of busters. EV drawbacks. Oh, if we're gonna have an article with fear, uncertainty, and doubt, we've got to lead with it, you guys. We gotta consider the following. Fewer EV cars are eligible for the federal tax credits. And none of the gas ones. So I don't know what your deal is. Kelly Blue Book claims the 5-year cost to own EVs versus ICE is 15% higher. It's a shame they didn't link it because that's a terrible one. I didn't use KBB because they have a very aggressive ad blocker and even more aggressive ads. The wave of EVs coming to market, if you combine the purchase price with the cost of ownership, that'll tell you what the cost is. EV cost to consumer, $65,000, but an internal combustion was only $56,000. Oh, right, you're comparing apples to oranges. You're looking at low-cost cars from 5 years ago versus the most popular electric cars from 5 years ago. The most popular electric cars 5 years ago were the Model S and X. Those were more expensive. Those were expensive cars. You're not comparing today's prices. Today's prices where you can get an EV for less than a gas car and then go on to save 10 grand in gas. Of course, no experience is the same. The average cost of EV financing is $4,500 versus gas at $3,200. Right, because we're talking about more expensive cars. When you look in the same class, the cars are not more expensive to insure. A 3 Series BMW costs about what a Model 3 Tesla costs. They're comparable vehicles. Insurance is often the average cost of collision and liability insurance is $6 grand. What? $500 a month? And internal combustion is also about $500 a month? In the comments below, what are you paying for insurance? Because I've driven some real fast cars, and I've not always had a perfect driving record, and I've never paid more than probably $250 a month. So $3 grand a year? That's maybe they mean for 5 years. Maybe they're talking $1,000 a year. But Again, you're insuring more expensive vehicles. There's no way. That must be a 5-year figure, right? So $100 a month, that's more like it. An obvious area of savings is in the gas. Yeah. If you drive 15,000 a year, it's going to be 10 grand in gas using the nationwide average of fuel price in that time. How'd you calculate that? I'd love to know. Owners driving the same distance are spending 5 grand. No 4,300? No, they're not. No. Well, maybe you mean in. No, there's no way. There's no way. So 60,000 miles for 10 grand. Maybe. Seems a little high for the gas price. Feels a little high. But that 4,300, not a chance. Not a chance are you spending 4 grand to go 60,000 miles. Not if you're charging at home. Very few people rely on public chargers exclusively. EV affordability is maintenance cost. EVs and ICE share many of the same maintenance costs, such as replacing wipers, fluid, and rotating the tires. The difference lies, of course, in the engine. So without oil changes, EV owners can save a bit. $300 less. You're telling me that's not real. That's not real. You're telling me that EV owners spend over $800 a year on maintenance? No, there is no world in which an EV is only $50 a year cheaper to maintain than a gas car. That doesn't make any sense. So this is all just ridiculous. And of course, they're including depreciation. So a common mistake they love to make is using the MSRP from during the pandemic rather than the actual cost of acquisition. That $30,000 Camry, you could not buy it for $30,000. Maybe it was $32,000, maybe it was $38,000. There were Kias and Fords we saw being sold for $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 over MSRP because it was a supply crunch. You could not get cars. A better look at it was by Suvrat Kothari. I hope I'm saying your name right. I apologize if I'm not. Over on Inside EVs, where he looked at some of the actual models, and he found that, for example, a Tesla was cheaper to own than a Mercedes. Mercedes EQB has a 5-year cost of $72,000, where a gasoline car barely is $700 less. And the EQB is a very expensive car. He did a good job. I'll link it in the description. Because, guys, you're being dishonest. So the Kelley Blue Book claim that the 5-year cost is higher is nonsense. This is nonsense. Time to fill up an EV is much longer than an internal combustion engine car. No, it ain't. My average fill-up time is I get out of the car and plug it in. And actually, I don't even do it. I usually make the kids do it. So it's, to me, no time at all. But it's a few seconds per drive is how long it takes me to fill up. And on road trips, I use that to take my bathroom breaks and order pizza. The last time I was at a supercharger, I went inside, I ordered pizza, and when it came out, I took my box and left. I was done charging. The car was finished before I could get my pizza. So I don't know. Versus if I had gas, I would have had to stand there for 5 minutes or so, hopefully just, and then go get my pizza. It's a little place. I don't, they certainly didn't have an app. Pretty good though. The final cost of vehicle is the depreciation. Oh yeah. EV batteries are less efficient in severe temperature. Well, great news. Most people don't live where there are severe temperatures most of the time. There are some places where people live that have severe temperatures a few days a year. But guess what? Internal combustion also is less efficient in extreme weather. It is true. They're less efficient at altitude. It is true. EVs have higher insurance and financing costs. You just stole this from the other article without attribution. Good news, it's on you now. They don't have higher insurance within their class, and the financing costs are only higher if you look back 5 years ago when EVs cost more than they did. You think people are paying double and triple in percentages on their on their loans for their interest? Come on, that's ridiculous. Lithium-ion batteries can catch fire in an accident or on rare occasions when they're not in use. Are we talking about Toyota or are we talking about Tesla? Because most electric cars sold in the US are Tesla. In fact, in 2023, most electric cars in the world were, the biggest brand was still Tesla. BYD passed them in the fourth quarter. But the idea is they're not all the same. Even the famously flamey Bolt was 5 times less likely to go up in flames than a gasoline car. You see, gasoline cars are powered by fuel, by fossil fuel, by dumping gasoline into your fuel injector and setting it on fire. Sometimes the combustion winds up on the outside. So the obvious benefit is for, fuel costs. Oh, you'll save $5,000 in gas and a few hundred in maintenance. A few hundred. You are really cribbing from that KBB article. The market for EVs among early adopters and wealthier, environmental concerned consumers is starting to get saturated. Wow. Tesla doesn't have a monopoly. On one point, Tesla's market cap was almost equal to the entire auto industry, but they don't have a monopoly anymore. Yeah, that's okay. The 100% club. So yeah, there's the hybrids will bridge the technology, but we've got one last thing because this is going on too long. Actually, we've got another chart crime, and then one last thing. We're going on too long. Electric vehicle and hybrid market share in the US. If you look, it shows that hybrids have easily kept up with EV sales since 2015. No, they haven't. No, they haven't. You see, you're tweaking the numbers here. EVs went from 0.3 to 6.9, and hybrids went from 6 times higher to barely outpacing EVs. I mean, really, you should probably go to 2018 if you wanted to make the numbers a little less dishonest. And you could say they've gone from 1.2 to 6.9, but they were already at double that. These are bigger increases, my friend, year over year. Chart crime. Car owners prefer better mileage. Now, this is my, another chart crime. I'm never going to get through this, you guys. Average vehicle transaction price in the US. Look at how much more expensive EVs are. Now, the EV market has a disproportionate number of high-end cars. The Rivians, the Hummers, the Cadillacs, the Lucids, the Plaids, the Model S's and X's. There are some expensive ones, but the overwhelming majority are vastly cheaper. In 2023, you're telling me the average EV cost was $59,000, but that it's come down a little from its peak. Well, okay, let's go back to 2015 here. 2015, 16, 17. Wait. There's no way these numbers are right. The average car in 15, 16, and 17 was a Tesla, an S or an X. These numbers are way too low. And these bottom blue ones here, the average price of an internal combustion car, they got up to 44.8 thousand. That sounds about right. I had seen a number that was maybe a little higher. No, I think it was about right. Low 40s. But you're telling me that EVs haven't gotten cheaper? With the flood of 3s and Ys, with the prices readily falling quarter after quarter for years, you're telling me the average price only. This number is BS. More on hybrids. No thanks. Solid state batteries. So now we get to my favorite chapter. We now consider the next potential game changer, solid state batteries. Lithium ion, you guys, they're heavy, they're expensive, they're slow to charge, and have a mileage range considered too short by many. Many experts believe Toyota is the leader in solid state battery development. So I went ahead and just pulled this up. This is a video I made with my good friend Herbert, who is a very sharp guy. We went through this and found that, no, it's all nonsense because Toyota has been teasing solid state batteries since 2007, I think. I don't remember. We pulled up an endless parade of announcements going back year over year and actually looking at it and showing that they're not serious, And it is insane. Maybe this is not the right video, but I think it was. Every 2 to 3 years since 2007, I think about every 18 months since 2007, Toyota has announced, we have a solid state battery and it's going to be in cars starting in like 2 years, maybe 3. Okay, 4. 2, 3 years, 4 at the worst. But they never come. They still make these announcements every quarter or every year or so. Every year or so, they make this announcement. And it's ridiculous, and it never comes. If Toyota had A cheap, lightweight, solid state battery with 1,000 miles of range that could charge in 10 minutes, they wouldn't be monkeying around with hybrids. They wouldn't be clowning with the hydrogen and other drivetrains. They wouldn't even be selling internal combustion. In fact, I don't know that they'd bother selling cars at all. They'd just be the world's biggest supplier of the world's best batteries, and the entire EV transition could happen in 6 months. Or, and hear me out here, that battery don't exist. And instead, they just want you to hold out, hang on to your hope, and consider yourself lucky that you got nothing at all and like it. That's what's ridiculous. Yahoo, you did a bad job. And this isn't just your run of the mill lazy bad job. This is a malicious bad job. You had to know. The person who put this together was smart enough to make bogus charts showing things that are misrepresented intentionally. Oh, I guess they just stole them all. Maybe they just stole them all. I still think you're smarter than this, Yahoo. Mr. Yahoo, if that really is your name. Editor, oilprice.com. Well, maybe there's your culprit. What did I miss? What did I misunderstand? Leave it all in them comments below. Get me a little smarter if you wouldn't mind. Everybody else, like, subscribe, do the usual things. Maybe consider throwing me a nickel if you like what I do. Everybody else, stay tuned, stay juicy, and I cannot wait to hear from you clever robots in the junkyard where all the Toyotas will go to sleep.